All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. Oh, give everybody else a minute or two to get in, and we will start up. So as we're hanging out, I guess today is going to be all about answering questions, comments, concerns that you guys have about really just about anything. But please take the time to think about some of those, and then we will get into them. Or I mean, you can ask them now if you want to. Not really a sense in waiting, for everybody to get in if we're just going to be answering random bits. So, yeah, whenever you're ready, whenever you got something, please fire away. If you're embarrassed to ask in front of your friends, as always, please feel free to send me a private message. So this will be our last Zoom session. So sad to say. So whatever you guys have going on, this is the last official day to discuss it. However, I will be in my office over the next few days, pretty much all day. So yeah, as far as taking final and everything, I would suggest, if you can, waiting until if you obviously have the time, waiting until one of my office hours times. So I'll have office hours later this afternoon, and then I will also be in my office all day on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So consider that accordingly. Everybody stressing, freaking out? All right. Okay, only on the homework, but I got it now. You sure? Nothing else about all that? I mean, this is what I'm here for. I want to answer y'all's questions, provide any clarification on anything. I mean, it's what we're doing here. So yeah, I mean, what do y'all got? All right, so remember the test is online. You will have 150 minutes. You'll have 150 minutes to complete it. You have 2 attempts. It is due Tuesday night by midnight. Unless you are a graduating senior, in which case it needs to be done by Sunday night at midnight, so that I can put grades in Monday morning. Let's see. It's a mix of conceptual questions as well as calculate questions. There's a handful of multiple guess. Let's see. What else? What else? So please remember that, let's see.
Can we do a problem on the Heron's formula?
On yeah, Heron's formula? Yeah. Or it could be Heron, I don't know. I always thought it was just Heron, but he is Old Greek, so sounds Greeky. So we'll do that. I want to state that the homework is due Sunday night at midnight, as well as I put up an additional attempt for test number 3 that is due Sunday at midnight. And test number 4 is still available until Saturday at midnight. So, okay.
I thought I thought it said homework was due on Saturday.
Didn't it just?
When I last checked, I thought it said Saturday.
I don't know. So some of the homework's not due on Saturday. Homework's due 5/3, which I think is Sunday. Yeah. The test number 4s are due on Saturday. Send me, if it still says that, send me a picture of it. Because it's likely that there's just an error somewhere in the reporting. And I should tell Cengage about that. But I mean, as far as I'm sorry?
I read the calendar.
You read what?
I read the calendar wrong.
Oh, okay. That's fine. It happens to me all the time. And I can't ever remember days without actually like looking them up. So don't feel down about it. Yeah, so 5/2 is the tests, 5/3 is everything else, and the final exam is 5/5. Let's see. Okay, so Heron's formula. Okay, so you just want to do an example, or?
It was a homework one that we had to do that they had 2 sides and they had one angle, and I couldn't figure out how to do it.
And it said use Heron's formula?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what chapter or section or?
I think it was 6.
Let's see.
Yeah, it was 6.2.
All right. And okay, so you use Harris' formula to find the area of a triangle. Okay, so this is kind of a 2-stepper. So you need to find, and this picture may not be to scale at all, but let's say we have some triangle, and they give you side, call this side B equals 76, and side C equals 42, and they give you angle A equals, in my numbers, 81 degrees. Okay, so something like this is what you had?
Yes.
Okay. So what angle is angle A? Which, where is it?
Basically, it's for children.
Will it be on the? I was thinking it would be on the top, but I don't
On
think
the
so.
top, you're right. Yeah,
Okay.
because this is side A, and the angle is always the angle opposite its same lettered side. So you're very, very good. Top one is A. So first thing we do is we use law of cosines to figure out what A equals. So A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine of A. So B is 76 squared plus 42 squared minus 2 times 76 times 42 times cosine 81 degrees. I get A equals 80.88. And then now you just plug it into Heron's formula, which goes something like, so area equals square root of S minus A, S minus B, S minus C, where S equals A plus B plus C over 2. So let's see. So I get, in this case, 99.43. Let's make that 4 just because the rounding. Okay. And then you just plug all these things in. So square root of times minus x. I get 1576, which is correct. So the only extra little bit, I guess, for this problem was first you had to find the other side. Okay, because Heron's formula is all about the sides. So yeah, you've got to use law of cosines because it's in the law of cosines section, which is 6.2, and you use that to figure out A. So now you have the sides. So now you can just plug it in and go. Does that answer your question? Was your main issue like you didn't know how to use Heron's formula because you didn't have the other side?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
yep. You're welcome. Good question. Okay. So, yeah. All right. What else? What else? What else? Also, as a warning, I have been instructed to upload everybody's averages on everything to the grade book in Gensbar, but for a number of reasons, I did not want to do this, but it was impressed upon me that I was required to. So I will be putting up averages for things like all of your tests, basically all the breakdowns from the syllabus are going to be reflected in you're gonna have a quiz average, a test 1, 2, 3, 4, that kind of thing. Homework average. Can anyone maybe describe a potential issue that might come up with that? I've calculated them. Y'all's is just the last class on my list to do, so they should be going up today. What would be the problem in uploading your grades for things right now? Mind you, I had to do these over the course of the week, so I downloaded everything on Monday. The issue is some of y'all are still working on your homework or doing tests or whatever. So my warning is when you see a grade pop up, if you say to yourself, that can't be right. I finished all my homework this week, whatever. That's entirely possible. But like I said, this process takes a lot of time to do. And this is why I didn't want to do it early. But you will likely get a C grades popping up. Some of them will be correct, like your test 1 and 2 will be correct. Your quiz average will be correct. To a certain extent, your participation will be correct, but homework, test 3 and test 4 averages will likely not be correct because people were still doing it. So don't freak out if it's not what you think it should be, because it's based on an old number. But with that, use this if you see something in there, use this as an opportunity to go double check and say, wait a second, is that right? Because all of your scores are listed in WebAssign. So yeah, please do your due diligence on that. But also don't freak out if you see something that looks crazy. Maybe bring it to my attention just in case, but don't freak out. Just go check WebAssign and say, hey, this is what it says I had. Why does it say I have something different? But keep that in mind. Don't let it freak you out. So, Okay, what else? Still got like 15 minutes or so. Anybody?
I have another question.
Bring it on.
For the homework on 6.4, can you do an example on question 8?
I can.
You're working, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Right, that part.
Oh. Okay. So, we'll do, you said number 8?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and say that this was a mistake of mine. We were supposed to get to this stuff, but we didn't end up getting into dot products. So this is an extra chapter that I should have taken off the homework, but I didn't. So since some of you have done it, I will say that this is, I will leave it up so that your time is not wasted, and it will count as extra credit. So number 6.4 will not hurt anyone who doesn't do it, but it is extra credit. So the thing with dot products in a nutshell is it is a way to multiply two vectors together. There are two ways to do it. A dot B. So this is either vector magnitude of A, magnitude of B, times the cosine of the angle from A to B. Or you can also do it in component form. This is the x components of both of them multiplied together plus the y components of both of them together. So pretty much all of these questions on here can be answered like this. And the notation that they use, let's say A equals 3I plus 4, we'll use J. This is the same thing as saying 3, 4. So if it has an I with it, that means it's the X component. And if it has a J, that means it's the Y component. So that's the alternate format. I don't like this as much because it requires a bunch of extra writing and it's kind of silly. We use this one instead. So number 8 says find U dot V where U equals 120, V equals 200, and theta equals 5 or 6. So this one is pretty simple, straightforward. U dot V is just U, the magnitude of U, the magnitude of V, times the cosine of the angle between them. So this is just 120 times 200 times cosine of 5 or 6, which is 2,000 or 20,784.6. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, the entirety of that entire dot product section can be broken down into this. So, yeah. I mean, as far as what they mean and all that stuff is a little bit more involved, but yeah. So like in number 9, there's a question, determine whether U and V are orthogonal or not. Orthogonal basically just means perpendicular. So it's the fancy word for saying perpendicular. So quick refresh, how do you determine if two lines are perpendicular to each other? How do you determine if two lines are parallel to each other? So if two lines are parallel to each other, they're going in the same direction, right? So if they are parallel, then they have the same slope. If they are perpendicular, they don't have the same slope. What do they have?
They have an opposite reciprocal slope.
Yeah, so they have an opposite slope. So, and you said both terms correct. If two things are perpendicular, that means that their slopes are opposite in both addition, subtraction, and multiplication, division. So the opposite reciprocal is correct. Or into one slope is the other one's reciprocal made negative. But remember, the slope is change in y over change in x. So, all right. Cool. Yeah, it's sad. Vector multiplication is, to me, when this stuff starts getting pretty interesting. There's a lot of really cool stuff that happens. If you're going to go deep into computer science, obviously math, but if you go deep into computer science, vector operations become very important. As weird as it might sound, probably 90% of AI research right now uses vector. It's a little bit more complicated than these vectors, but the same basic idea. It uses vector math, vector operations to find or to teach computers how to think. So vectors are very, very, very cool, but didn't have enough time. So, okay, what else we got? We got about 3 minutes. Like I said, the test is up. You've got 2 attempts. Please don't take an attempt until you are ready. But you can take them whenever. If you're a senior, it's got to be done by Sunday night, like everything else. Yeah. So, what you got? Everybody's good? Keep in mind for this this final, like not very many other classes, pretty much everything that you get into that we did this semester goes right together. Like there is a lot of overlap in between everything. It's really just these same rules and ideas incorporated in different contexts, but it's the same fundamental idea. And it's, you know, how we relate sides of triangles and angles of triangles. Sadly, it's a little bit beyond the scope of this course, but the stuff we did at the beginning, exponentials, exponentials are actually directly tied to trigonometry, sines and cosines. So maybe one day we'll get into that, but I'll be around. So you guys have a great weekend and good luck on finals. And if you got anything else, just let me know, okay? So it's been fun, and I'll see you guys around.